I got a pair of headsets if you need. Or you got earbuds. Test.
And welcome to Benedetti Worley Stadium on the campus of North Central College. Today's College Conference of Illinois and Wisconsin women's lacrosse game features the University of Dubuque Spartans and your North Central College Cardinals. The NCAA, the CCIW, and North Central College encourage and promote good sportsmanship among student athletes, coaches, and spectators. We request your cooperation by supporting the participants and officials in a positive manner. Profanity, racial, or sexist comments or other intimidating actions directed at officials, student athletes, coaches, spectators, or team representatives, as well as public intoxication and consumption or possession of alcoholic beverages and tobacco products are grounds for removal from the stadium and other disciplinary action. In 2009, North Central College became the first NCAA Division III institution in the state of Illinois to field a women's lacrosse team. Today, we are proud to formally celebrate the 10th season of Cardinal Women's Lacrosse, joined by several of the women from past teams who formed the foundation for the program today's players enjoy. At this time, we ask that all of the women's lacrosse alumni who are in attendance at today's game to please stand and be recognized. Introducing today's starting lineups. First, for the Spartans. Number 7, Brianne Tajarda. Number 9, Lindsay Fernandez. Number 10, Corey King. Number 11, Robin Bowman. Number 18, Julianne Galanti. Number 20, Catherine Silberstein. Number 22, Gemma Keegan. Number 24, Cassandra Berger. Number 26, Claire Carlson. Number 29, Diana Buddy. Number 31, Kaylee Ware. Dubuque is coached by Sarah Decker. And now the starting lineup for your North Central College Cardinals. Number 5, Addie Records. Number 7, Paige Matterney. Number 13, Christina Truver. Number 14, Mink Richardson Clerk. Number 17, Madeline McHugh. Number 20, Jessica Deachin. Number 21, Emily Kosak. Number 22, Grace Steiner. Number 23, Annabelle Steiner. Number 25, Rebecca Clausen. And number 99, Camille Segesio. The Cardinals are coached by Danielle Fiala. She is assisted by Claire Norfleet and Kaylin Spital. The faculty mentor is John Small. At this time, we ask that you please rise and face the flag at the south end of the field as we honor America with the singing of the national anthem by North Central College sophomore Paige Matterney.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets
Putting their 3-0 mark in conference play to the test this afternoon. North Central hosts University of Dubuque. The Spartans come to town 6-4. They're 1-2 in conference, and this could very well clinch a spot in the conference tournament for North Central College. As you heard in the pregame, it is the celebration of 10 years of Cardinal Lacrosse here on campus as the first Division III institution to implement a women's lacrosse team. They broke ground, and now they may break new ground this year. With that undefeated record, this could be the best season in program history. A win today will give them the most wins in a single season in program history. With all of that said, welcome into the broadcast. Kevin Jackman, Zach Bucher here on NCTV 17. Thanks so much for joining us. Zach, we've seen this team a couple of times so far this season, and boy, this offense can put up goals in a real hurry.
Yeah, they've just got off to incredible starts against Augustana, and then, of course, a few days ago against Elmhurst. They know how to put the ball in the net. And you talk about program history with the amount of wins that they have this season or going to have this season. They have already set a program record with their offense by scoring the most goals in a single game. So offense is nothing that they don't know how to do. So we're going to see if they can keep it up here today.
Pretty prolific. They have scored more than 13 goals in each, well, going back to the second game of the year, in which, by the way, they scored 12 goals. So they've scored 12 goals in every game this year, and they're already on the prowl on the offensive end. Maddie McHugh has it behind the net. A fresh 30 minutes put up on the clock here in the first half. Swarmed by some Spartans, hands it off, and the shot goes wild to the left and out of play. The Cardinals will claim it. That shot out of the stick of Christina Truver, a sophomore who has been a fantastic offensive weapon for the Cardinals this year.
And so far, a couple of good looks for the Cardinals. If the Spartans' defense isn't careful, they haven't really cut off the middle of the attacking area. And if they don't continue, or if they continue to just leave that open for the Cardinals, they're going to find themselves in a very deep hole very soon.
We have seen the Cardinals put up a tremendous amount of goals, and not just over the course of a game, but early on. That one's snagged by the goalkeeper, though, and the Cardinals' first offensive chance is wasted, except Minx Richardson-Clerk disrupts that pass, and it goes out of bounds, and the Cardinals will have it right back.
And she's a very key player for this Cardinal team. She does a great job on both ends of the field, causing turnovers with her defense and being able to really institute the offense.
Cardinals the top team in the conference right now, tied with Illinois Wesleyan at 3-0. And that one blocked. Jessica Deachin had raced in, but no good as that was off Brienne. Make that Kaylee Weir, the goalkeeper. Scratch that. That's Lindsay Fernandez in the net right now. She's wearing a different number than what is on our current roster. But a sophomore goalkeeper in net for the Spartans. And now the University of Dubuque is on the offensive end. And we'll get our first chance to see Camille Segasio, who has been phenomenal this season. She's among the conference leaders in several categories, including the most important one, which is save percentage.
Yeah, we've seen a fair share of good defense from this Cardinal team. We talk so much about their offense, but what it really comes down to is Segasio in net. She does a good job of solidifying the defense and making sure that she gives the offense the opportunity to get up big.
Spartans working it behind the net and nearly lose it off the end line, and now do, and it's still awarded to the Spartans, however. That's Claire Carlson who controls, guarded by Minx Richardson-Clerk. Move to the net, and an infraction on the Cardinals will allow a free shot to occur for Dubuque. So Segasio about to be tested for the first time this afternoon. Racing in and putting it in the net. Brianne Jarda, the senior from Waubonsie Valley, connects on our game's first goal, and it's 1-0 Dubuque.
And this is not something we have seen in our few opportunities that we've watched the Cardinals play. They find themselves down early 1-0. But with this offense, I don't know if that's going to stay that way for very long.
I'm guessing this is kind of a foreign position to be in if you're North Central, considering the fact that you've put up so many goals. I don't know the last time they trailed in a contest, except for their only loss of the season, which came to Colorado College. Can't imagine it's often, and it's been recently.
But this also gives us an opportunity to see how they respond after being down. They had a good couple of looks early in the game. And now they're down 1-0, so it'll be interesting to see how they respond and try and get back to tied.
Three and a half minutes into our game, and the Cardinals back on the offensive side of the field. Out in front, Deachin controls as she surveys the field. Hands off to Richardson Clark. Cardinals very patient in the early going of this one as Clark comes around the corner, and that one's snagged away. As Weir collects in net, but it's Richardson Clark who will have a straightaway shot. No, I take that back. It was actually a penalty called on North Central, interestingly enough.
Not exactly sure what went down there, but unfortunately the Cardinals don't come away with that.
Cardinals taking it away, and up the sideline Grace Steiner goes, gives off, and now the pass out in front is connected. Deachin on the other end, and she waits and now pauses before accelerating. Out in front of the net, scoops and scores, and the Cardinals have knotted this one up at 1 apiece. Great move there from Jessica Deachin.
Yeah, we've seen time and time again so far this season great moves on the offensive end from these girls, and they just have a knack of getting themselves open and getting through the defense. And like we said, they weren't in the hole for too long.
And only took about a minute of game time to neutralize the score. And now it's a 1-1 mark. 25:31 to go. Should be noted that, well, today has some favorable weather, and that has not been the case this year. And if I'm not mistaken, this might be the first time a game has started with the temperature above 50 degrees. It's April 21st.
Yes.
Yeah. Feels like January 21st, or at least it has been as of late. But finally, the weather breaking, and we have some nice temperatures. The players don't have to bundle up on the field.
You can imagine that the players are very excited about that.
Steiner with the goal. Grace Steiner, that is, number 22. One of two Steiners, the twins from Cincinnati, Ohio, and it's Grace who gets the Cardinals on the board and gives the Cardinals the lead for the first time this afternoon by a 2-1 mark. The assist comes to Richardson Clark. I think the most impressive thing about this team, Zach, is the fact that there are two juniors on the squad, and they're both goalkeepers. Everybody else is a sophomore or a freshman.
Yeah, and that we talk about it frequently, just how exciting that is for this team. You know, this is the last home game of the season for these girls, and typically that's reserved for senior day.
This is true.
But
are we going to have junior day?
No seniors to be seen on this team, so.
Good cut to the middle of the field, but the pass is just a little too tall, and the Cardinals take it away. It'd be kind of weird, junior day. Hey, we look forward to having you back next year.
It'd be a good way to show the appreciation for just how hard these girls have played, though, for these 3 years.
Camille Sigisio, rather, has turned that into a starting job is Steiner. Again, for the second time in a matter of a minute, finds the back of the net. And the Cardinals now lead 3-1. This is more of the pace the Cardinals looked to come out with. And after that first goal from the Spartans, Cardinals have come out with 3 straight.
Yeah, and that was a great feed by Records. And Steiner wasted no time firing it on the goal. Didn't even really let it sink into her net, just kind of grabbed and went. It was a great move, and like I said, if the Spartans don't crash the middle of the field on the offensive end for the Cardinals, they're going to end up down even more than just 2 goals right now.
It's going to be a long afternoon.
Yes.
If that's the case. Mention this off the top, the Cardinals are 13-1. The program record for wins in a season is 13, when the Cardinals went 13-5 in Danielle Fiala's first season as head coach in 2016. That season, the Cardinals were 4-2 in the conference. They tied for second place. I think at this point in the year, if the Cardinals finish anything but first, it might be somewhat of a disappointment considering just how hot they've been to begin the year. Steiner's shot is partially blocked, but the rebound goes to the Cardinals. Nice job by Weir in net. But prior to that, this Cardinal team had fluctuated between being subpar to mediocre to being just above average. They finished tied in the conference twice before Fiala's tenure. And last year came back down kind of the 500 level. 10-8 overall. They were 3-3 in conference, but this year stepped on the accelerator from the get-go. It's been a really fun team to watch.
So what you're telling me is that Coach Fiala, she's pretty good.
I would say so. And if you look at the program record book, as another goal is put in by the Cardinals, making it a 4-1 score. If you look at the record book, Danielle Fiala is all over it as a player. So she came in after a couple of seasons away and has taken the reins of the program and run with it. So I guess you could use that as a bit of a advocate sign of using former players as coaches. As Truver credited with the goal, and it's 4-1 NCC.
And, you know, a lot of times you do see former players after their tenure as a player turn to coaching just because they love the game that much. They want to be able to pass on their knowledge and give these younger players an opportunity to be great and continue with their career, whereas someone like Coach Fiala chose not to. But she's doing a great job so far in her short tenure here at North Central as a coach.
Overall, the record for Fiala is 36-14. This being the 3rd year she has been the head coach. That is a phenomenal mark, especially for a program that right before she got here was, again, right in the middle of the pack. They weren't really a dominant force in the conference. They tied for 3rd the year before, 10-5. Certainly not bad, but not world beaters. And they had difficulty beating the top teams in conference, namely Augustana, who this season they really stuck it to, winning, if I'm not mistaken, 26-5.
Yeah, and we talked about it. That was a really big game for these girls. We talked about it potentially being a statement game for this young team. A lot coming into the season, not really expecting much out of them. And they come out and they put up 26 against one of the conference's top teams in the past few seasons.
It was truly a statement. I mean, I remember watching that game, and you and I just kept looking at each other going, at what point does Augustana just come out and start playing like Augustana? But it never happened, and the Cardinals dominated.
Yeah, it was one of those games where you, at some point, you were just like, as you mentioned, all right, when's Augustana going to flip the switch, and this is going to turn into a great game? And it never happened. The Cardinal offense just seemed to suffocate them, and they lost all sense of determination really early.
Part of that is that relentless Cardinal attack, which has already been on display today, although maybe not quite at the same pace as we've seen in the first few home games telecasted right here on NCTV 17. Dubuque coming down the field, and a ground ball now being fought for on the 25-yard line, and the Cardinals look like they're in position, and that is the case. And bumped, and Awarded that ball will be Paige Nadherney, who sung our national anthem before the contest. Phenomenal job done by her. And now the Cardinals on the offensive end. Addie Records gives way. And a whistle blows. And the Cardinals forced to stop and pause for a moment. With it is Steiner, and she'll have a one-on-one with the goalkeeper Weir in just a second. And here she comes. One-on-one, and Weir snags it away. Lofts it out in front, and the danger cleared by the Spartans. Cardinals with a turnover, and they take it away. Defense is suffocating.
Yeah, and we've seen it not just from the defense, but a lot of these teams that the Cardinals have played end up making really poor choices when they try and pass up the field, and that was one of those instances. I don't know if it is perhaps the defense that is causing them to make these poor choices, but at this point in the game, you don't need to be taking those risks if you're the Spartans.
4-1 North Central, 20-51 to play in the first half. And a free shot on tap for NCC. And a pass off, and the shot just wide for Nellie Scranton, but the Cardinals' Addie Records was right there. And the pass is wide for Steiner. Scooped up by Scranton. And she'll give over to Richardson Clark. Makes a move to the middle, and that one disrupted from behind. A nice defensive play made. That was Claire Carlson, I believe, on the takeaway. And now the pass intercepted by the Cardinals. Here comes an offensive attack, and it's Weir who blocked it. And it goes out of play and given to the Spartans.
Cardinals did a great job earlier responding to the 1-0 deficit, but credit Weir, she's done a really good job blocking a lot of shots, not giving up anything easy to these Cardinal players.
She has 4 saves already. Make that 6 now.
It's not something we've seen from opposing teams so far this season.
Certainly it has not been the case. As Dubuque goes into the offensive zone and trying to prepare for a second goal. Carlson gives off to the top. And a nice move, but better defense. Cassandra Berger thought she had a step, and that was taken away in a hurry by Clausen. Corey King with it. Today marking a bit of a family affair. Corey King is the sister of Kelsey King, who was a North Central lacrosse player and graduated in the same class I did.
Interesting. Perhaps we might see more from her in the coming minutes.
It's very easy to pick her out of the crowd considering she has a highlight yellow headband on. That is easy to pick her out of a crowd. Berger at the top, working up against Clausen, squeezes past, but a whistle blows. And perhaps another free shot coming up. .32 to go here in the first half. Dubuque giving the Cardinals a good test. Yeah, sticking with them.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job on the defensive end, as we pointed out not too long ago. Really stopping this Cardinal offense from just pouring it on.
Segasio collects and throws it out ahead. Pressure coming from behind, and nice job accounting for it. And now the ball pops loose, and Dubuque claims it. And here come the Spartans. It was a quick transaction, and now Minx Richardson Clark has it. Stops on a dime and comes the other way. And that one almost taken away. Ground ball fought for. And this one's going to be given to North Central. Bit of sloppy play around midfield.
Yeah, a very interesting exchange of those last few back and forths, but great battles so far.
Timeout taken by Danielle Fiala. We'll take one too. We'll be right back on NCTV 17. Welcome back, and Addy Records with the shot on net, and it's a little high for that top pipe. Kevin Jackman, Zach Bucher here on NCTV 17. 17:25 to go here in the first half. And North Central has not scored at the same prolific pace that it has so far this season, although perhaps that's why Danielle Fiala called that timeout, to try and get her team back in the flow of things. A penalty called, and Jessica Deachin will get a free shot. Hey, credit Weirs. She has been phenomenal in net, and she's right behind Segasio in the conference save percentage category. Just 2/1000th of a percentage point behind Segasio at 40, make that 54.5 as Deachin scores and makes it a 5-1 mark.
Yeah, and that is just going to be a good test today for the Cardinals. You know, they've been having it easy as of late, being able to score almost at will. You know, some of these looks are really good looks that they normally will capitalize on, but they just haven't had the same luck here today. But they still find themselves up 5-1 now after that goal. So good sign that the offense is legit.
Really is. Weir is peppered across the statistical leaders in the conference, and to put 5 goals up in the first 13 minutes against a goalkeeper like that is encouraging. And keep in mind, Dubuque is 6-4 overall. They're 1-2 in conference, but a couple of bad games don't necessarily mean you're a bad team. Those losses coming to Carthage and Carroll. Carroll is one of the better teams in conference, as Minx Richardson Clerk scores again, and Weir looks like she might have taken part of Richardson Clerk's stick somewhere maybe above the neck. But Carroll is 3-1 in conference. They're 13-1 overall too. Carthage gave the Cardinals a real test. That was probably the closest game in a long while. 13-9 was the final there. So with the score 6-1, the fact that the Cardinals are beating, again, one of the better teams in conference, Dubuque, bodes well for when they head out onto the road next, because this is the last home game. And on the docket, Carroll, and then most importantly, Illinois Wesleyan, who is by far the primo team in the conference, aside from what looks to be North Central.
Yeah, and we talked about it last game, it being 2 road games to end the season. It's really going to be a test of how good this Cardinal team is, and if this first part of the season has just been kind of a fluke or if they're for real.
That one goes out of play, belongs to Dubuque with 16:26 to go in the first half. Sun is beginning to come out. Might need those shades in just a moment.
The one time I don't bring them.
I know. It's been an overcast day, but I'll take the temperature, 55 degrees or so. I'll take that in overcast over sunny and 20, windy. No, thank you. Addie Records has it poked away from behind, and she will be awarded, I believe, a free shot from the 10-meter line. And she recollected that right in front of the net. She might have had a shot on goal.
Yeah, if not for that whistle, that would have just been her and Weir one-on-one, and you don't see that very often.
Records from straight away awaits the whistle. The official directing traffic. And here it comes. Record off the pipe. Karams off that left orange pipe. Cardinals still control, though. Nothing worse than that. In hockey, lacrosse, whatever, soccer's probably worse because you have so few chances to score. You put it off the post. That is such a cringy feeling.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you can say you have that kind of a feeling in just about every sport, you know, off the post in sports like lacrosse, hockey, and as you mentioned, soccer. A basketball game where it just kind of spins around the rim and it comes out. It's all cross, and it's not a good feeling.
And that's a North Central College goal.
No pipe shot for Truver.
Truver.
Instead, she nets the Cardinals a 7th goal of the contest. They have a 6-goal lead. And I say this not because I believe this game is going to get out of hand anytime soon, or maybe if at all, but because the Cardinals have had a propensity of running up the score. It's going to be a running clock if they can build a 10-goal lead, which they're only 4 goals away.
And we've thought on a couple of occasions that they might not run up the score, but this is not a team that is going to sit back and enjoy just a 10-plus goal lead. They want to show you that we're going to put our foot on the gas and we're going to ram it to the ground.
Out in front, and that's a big reason why they just made an appearance in the regional rankings for the first time in program history. It's no small feat for a team that doesn't really have the, what's the word I'm looking for, maybe the clout. They don't have that name recognition as a women's lacrosse school. But they've made it into the regional rankings, and they're starting to make people realize that this Cardinal team might be legit.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, this is new territory for this North Central team. Coach Fiala came in and really has elevated this program to a new level after being subpar to average before that.
Cassandra Berger with the goal, the senior from Waukon, Iowa.
And that's a Spartan goal by number 24, Cassandra Berger. Assisted by
14:31 to go, and it's a 7-2 score. So, of course, I didn't want to say that they were going to run up the score, and the next thing I know, Dubuque scores for a second time in this game. That shows me, doesn't it?
Indeed it would, but at the same time, if North Central gets on another run, they very easily could run this score up. You know, we thought a couple weeks ago they were going to settle on just 25 to set the program record for goals in a game.
No, no, no.
As time expired, they threw in that 26th goal without a care in the world.
Nice draw control won by Truver. And now she's back with it after a series of passes. Out in front it goes and off the mark. Steiner picks it up across the way. To the top it goes with Deachin, makes a cut left, comes across and is blocked by Weirs. And the Cardinals awarded the ball. Deachin back with it, trying to go on a quick strike. But Dubuque there to cover it up. Out in front, Steiner waits, pauses, shot fakes, and pulls it out. And a whistle blows. Cardinals will get a free shot with Eddie Records there over on the corner. And there it is, Records with the goal. The freshman continues to impress, and it's an 8-2 score. Addie Records has been unbelievable in 2018. Comes in, makes an immediate impact on this program, and now has 73 points on the season, large and by far the most on this team. 45th goal.
And that's tops on the team in goals scored. So, but, you know, you mentioned her great success. She's only a freshman. It's incredible to see how well these young girls are playing. You can't say it enough. It's exciting.
13:37 to go. Records right back at it, comes around the net. And Steiner misses, and Records there. Here's a story, and I'm going to tease this. I won't go into the whole thing. If you're interested in lacrosse, which I'm guessing if you're watching this broadcast, you just might be. And this one's flipped over the shoulder by Scranton and out of play. Records again there to claim it. A recent Naperville high school product has foregone his senior season in lacrosse and has gone to Division I Rutgers. And it's not a football situation where they're just going to play spring ball and get acclimated in school. No, no, no. Tommy Coyne from Naperville Central is not just on the team. He's not just still somewhat of a high school senior. He is a starter on a top 15 program, and he is their 5th leading point getter. Again, 18 years old. He graduated high school early. Unbelievable story. For more, you can go online and find us at Naperville Sports Weekly, and that feature will be up on Sunday. Just a poised young man and truly an athletic specimen. Unbelievable.
Yeah, really a case of someone who has in their mind set what they're going to do and is going about it the right way to try and get it done and be a great player and athlete. And clearly, by the way he graduated high school early, a great student as well.
We went into that as well, because obviously you can't just say halfway through the year, I'm done. I'm just gonna go off to school. See you guys. No, you got some planning, you got some extra courses to take. Some interesting stuff.
And it might be interesting if it's part of said feature to go into about when did he make that decision that I'm going to try and graduate early.
That's part of it.
And because I want to go and I want to play Division I lacrosse at Rutgers.
Sounds like I've got you hooked. You'll have to tune in for the final product.
You can bet I will.
Out in front, Berger already has a goal today. She's rejected by Clausen. And now a shot on net, and Segasio upset Jarda with the second goal. And Dubuque back on the board. It's an 8-3 margin. This Dubuque team's not going to lie down.
No, and even though the Cardinals got off to a 7-1 lead at one point, it's not like Dubuque was really out of it. They didn't just kind of lay down and die like you said. they really have been battling.
And most importantly, and maybe most impressively as well, is the fact that they've kept the Cardinals from continually racking up goals. Defensively, you have to clamp down on this North Central team if you hope to survive these 60 minutes, and that's what Dubuque's doing.
And that's where the defense and the goalkeeping from Weir comes into play. She's done a great job, even though she's given up 8 goals. She's done a great job of keeping this team within striking distance.
Out in front, Scranton met, and a foul called on Dubuque. Well, the foul called on number 9, unfortunately for us, well, Dubuque doesn't have a number 9. That is a bit of an issue.
I would say so.
Scranton gets it right by Weir. And it's now 9-3, so the Cardinals, each and every time Dubuque has scored, has come right back with an answer.
And that's extremely important if you are North Central. You obviously built this lead, and Dubuque is showing that they're not going to lay down, and they're fighting, but you have to do everything in your power to respond and answer to keep the momentum in your favor to try and close out this game, albeit we still have 11 and a half minutes left in the first half.
Bookending that question about number 9, that is Lindsay Fernandez, who is listed on the roster as number 32 and a goalkeeper. And she's playing on the defensive end as number 9. Speaking of 9, score is 9-3. 11:24 to go here in the first half. And Dubuque is certainly giving the Cardinals something to think about. But the Cardinals still with an advantage as Addie Records hits the deck. Picks herself back up and goes over to Jessica Dietjen.
And I feel like something that we may not touch on quite as much as we probably should. The Cardinals do an extremely good job on face-off and getting a lot of draw controls, which leads into their offense and probably helps it become so potent.
Beautiful afternoon here at Benedetti Worley Stadium. It's a pleasant day. This feels like spring.
Yes, a pleasant change of pace.
I would agree with that. Dubuque slows it down. Jarda with it. Working up against Richardson Clark and has to give way. And gets it right back and goes to the top with Berger. Over to King. King trying to make a move. Spins, taken down and taken away. The ball pops up and right into the stick of Berger. Interesting exchange there. Berger rejected. Underneath now, and the shot good for Dubuque. Goal scored by Claire Carlson, and it's 9-4. Probably a good thing that the Cardinals are playing Dubuque in this game as they take a timeout. It's a good preview for what's to come on the road the next 2 games to wrap up the regular season. And with that in mind, we'll take a break as they take a break. 9:38 to go, and we'll be right back on NCTV 17. Welcome back. Second timeout taken here in the first half by Danielle Fiala of the North Central Cardinals. The head coach wanting to mull this over. A ground ball still being fought over. More of a pop-up than a ground ball, I guess you could say.
And Coach Fiala taking a couple of timeouts, probably because her team is not really dominating the way they have been. It's a little bit of new territory so far this game.
Pass out in front to Scranton. She tried to brush it into the net, and Weir instead claims it for herself. And she throws it off her own net. That's where Records can't touch it. Tipped and nearly taken away, still loose. And the free agent ball finally claimed by Dubuque, but now the Cardinals have it. Shoveled on. Under 9 minutes to play in the first half. Cardinals with a 9-4 advantage. Thanks so much for tuning in this afternoon on NTTV17.com. If you're just joining us on our channel, Channel 17, thanks for joining us as well. That one straight up swiped. Pass intended for Richardson Clerk.
Rare mistake by the Cardinal offense there.
And then they get it right back.
Something they do pretty often. They don't tend to mull over their mistakes, and they tend to correct them pretty quickly.
There's another one. Richardson Clerk didn't see the pressure coming. Certainly didn't feel it either. As the sun beams down on the field, Dubuque back on the offensive end. The wind has picked up slightly as King blitzes towards the net and gets a goal. Gets it right past Segisio. Tough angle, and she got it to go.
Just a good job of working through the
That's a
defense.
Spartan goal.
Despite the heavy pressure, was able to get off a good shot. And Segisio, normally pretty good. Struggling here a little bit, but still has the lead. So shouldn't get too down on herself.
She's currently pacing the pipes. Back and forth she goes. Her team now leads by 4. It once was a 6-goal lead at a 7-1. Spartans have battled back. 8:02 to go here in the first half. Cardinals claim the draw control, and here come North Central. This is going to be a quick one, isn't it? I thought Deachin was just going to take it coast to coast.
That was definitely her intention.
Instead, she gets the free shot from the 10-meter line. Carries it in, and out of play it went. Addie Records with it. Out in front, Steiner. Weir picks it off. Throws it out in front. Taken away by NCC. Believe that's Steiner with it. Slows it down, goes out in front to Records. McHugh with it. She's had a quiet afternoon. And now Truver will get a free shot. 7:04 to go, a 9-5 score. North Central leads. Make that a 10-5 score. North Central leads with 7:02 to go here in the first half. Truver with another goal, and the Cardinals again respond. And that's an encouraging thing as well. It's the fact that they continue to respond every time Dubuque finds the back of the net.
It's a Cardinal goal.
Yeah, and
Number
it's
13,
a credit
Christina
to just
Truver.
how good this offense is. They seem to always find ways to score. Even when earlier in the game, Weir was doing an incredible job in goal, stopping a lot of the easier shots that they have capitalized on earlier in the season.
So 3 Cardinals with 2 goals apiece. And now Truver with 3, in fact. The other 2 are Deachin and Steiner. Scranton, Records, and Richardson Clerk, the other 3 members of this squad who own goals. Ground ball fought for on the far side and finally picked up and won by North Central. And lost off the sideline by NCC and out of play. If you're noticing that there are signs and structures lining the field here at Benedetti Worley Stadium, that is for a reason. Tomorrow we'll see the Naperville Women's Half Marathon, and that takes place partially inside Benedetti Worley Stadium. Blocked by Sagacio and out of play. Dubuque patient here. Under 6 to play here in the half. And Cardinals take it away. Records with it. And she just blitzes by everybody. Takes it in herself, and it's blocked by Weir. But a penalty comes against Dubuque. And now Maddie McHugh will have it with a free shot on Weir. Weir has been so impressive in net. And that one was right into the stick of Weir. NCC nearly picks it off, but it winds up in the stick of a Spartan. And a penalty comes on North Central. And the shot just ripped on net by Carlson. Sagacio watched it whiz by.
I don't think that Sagacio was really expecting a shot like that. Didn't even really react to the shot.
Goal by number 26, Claire Carlson.
Usually those plays see the player take a few steps closer to the net, cut down the distance, but that was not the case there. 4:57 to go in the first half. Ten to 6, and I don't know about you, but it's a strange feeling. I feel like this game keeps tightening, and yet I don't feel like the Cardinals have lost control at any point.
And that goes back to what we have been saying the last few minutes. Is it seems every time Dubuque gets out, scores, and scores really well, just a good look, Cardinals find a way to respond, and it's really solidified their, even though it's only 4 goals, it's solidified their lead and control of this game.
I would say you're right. I think if Dubuque maybe scored 2 in a row, then that game would feel a little bit more in danger. Moved by Deachin and a foul along the way. 4:18 to go here in the first half. Deachin nets the Cardinals a point. I feel like a broken record. Why don't you say it for me instead?
Just like we were saying, every time Dubuque finds a way to get a goal and seem to potentially take back some of the momentum, the Cardinals just find a way. Their offense, it seems to stall for a few minutes, but when it counts most, they find a way to score, and that's very encouraging.
That's the third goal for Deachin. And the whistle blows, and Richardson Clerk will be awarded the ball with 4:08 to play here in the first half. Records with it on the far side, tries to make a move and squeezes past some defenders and somehow sneaks it by Weir. Weir looks a little shaken up on the play. But Records with another one. That's her second of the afternoon, third point, and NCC leads 12-6.
And this is what NCC really needed over the last couple of minutes, going back and forth with Dubuque. Really hadn't regained complete control of the game, but perhaps this is a sign of things to come with them scoring twice in a row now.
Ties the largest lead they've held in this game, which up to this point was 7-1. Now they're right back to a 6-goal lead, 12-6. And now they have a chance to widen the gap even further. Steiner with it. Gives off to Richardson Clerk. A slight bobble. Oh! And the Red Sea parted for a moment. What happened there? I'm not sure. Richardson Clerk cocks the stick and goes, and that one's high and wide and out of play. She rocked and loaded that one. Out in front, and a nice job controlling it is Truver. Now goes to Records, and Records goes low, and Weir snags. No, the ball's still loose out in front. There's a strange glare that is coming off the field right now. It makes it very difficult to see that ball when it's in motion like that. Truver, all in one motion, catches and then slings it in from about 90 degrees. And it's a 13-6 margin. The Cardinals with a 7-goal advantage.
And now the Cardinal offense is really starting to flourish here in the last few minutes of the first half. Whatever they decided to change over the last couple of minutes has really worked. They're being a little more patient on offense, and something that I've noticed is that they're able to hold on to the ball, whereas the Dubuque defense has been able to poke it loose a couple of times. So with them regaining control like this, it might spell trouble for Dubuque.
Penalty gives the Cardinals yet another offensive opportunity as Truver has it. Again, the Cardinals open up an 8-goal lead before the half. Records, the pass goes wide and rolling towards the sideline, Steiner able to stop it. McHugh with it. Richardson Clerk can't catch it on the fly, but still has control. Deachin gets by some defenders, and Weir is awarded the ball. Good hustle from the goalkeeper, as pointed out by the fan in attendance.
It's not something you see very often where the goalkeeper will leave the net on a play like that.
I thought you were going to say it's not often you hear a fan in the background that says something that actually is worth repeating on air. Because that is not often the case. There have been a few times I've heard sneezes, and that's acceptable, and I can use that as comedic relief. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But most of the banter that's said at high volume that is picked up on our crowd mic, I'm not a big fan of.
A lot of fans, and I know from being a fan of many different sports, you try and be the off-field referee as often as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's always the biggest thing. Call it both ways. Hey, you're blowing it. Hey, let them play. They're playing. Oh, they're playing. King and Richardson Clerk collide. I just heard an oh, come on. There you go. There's another referee. Yeah. Every game, doesn't matter what sport, what venue, the referee's going to make somebody mad on every whistle or non-whistle.
It's just the nature of sports.
Cardinals awarded the ball at the back of the end zone with 1:04 to play. You might see one last offensive chance coming. Clock has begun its tick under a minute, 45 seconds to go. Truver ahead to Steiner. Steiner ahead to Records. Records squeezes between and then goes top shelf. 14-6, North Central leads in the first half, half a minute to go until the break.
And it seems as though Addie Records over the last few minutes of this half has really stepped up and said that, you know, I'm going to take over this game, because up until the last few goals that she scored, the offense had been kind of stagnant, going back and forth with this Dubuque team, and then Records said no more.
Records now with 5 points, 3 goals, 2 assists for the freshman. Truver with 4 goals in the game. She leads in that category, but it's Records with 5 points that is the team leader and the game leader, for that matter.
30 seconds remaining.
Can the Cardinals make this a 9-goal gap before the half? Perhaps. With it is Truver, 20 ticks to go, and that ball will go out the back of the end zone, and Dubuque will have it. I think that might erase any shot the Cardinals have at widening this gap, and in fact that will be the case.
Yes.
Weir throws it out, and that'll do it.
It seemed as though Steiner was already moving towards the goal before she had the ball.
No way. I was just going to say Record almost could have let that fly, but the whistle sounds, and the first half is drawn to a close. With that said, the Cardinals lead 14-6, and we've hit the break. We'll step aside, a 10-minute timeout, and we'll be right back on NCTV 17 and on nctv17.com. Welcome back for the second half of play on NCTV 17, a production of Women's Lacrosse. Kevin Jackman and Zach Bucher here on the call from Benedetti Worley Stadium. The Cardinals now working left to right as a whistle blows, and the Cardinals will hand it over. Nearly picked off by NCC, but Spartans claim. An interesting first half transpiring between these two teams, and it was just a back and forth affair for about a 10-15 minute stretch there where neither team could gain any sort of momentum. It was one goal apiece for a while, but finally North Central stepped on the accelerator towards the end of the half and pulled away by 8. But after leading by 6 early, North Central had their lead cut down to 4. This Dubuque team is standing pretty tall against what could be the top team in the conference.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of responding to that early 7-0 run by the Cardinals that gave them that early 6-goal lead. But it just seems that, especially after that goal, the Cardinals have just found their stride on offense again.
Jess Dietjen with the goal.
And that's a North Central goal by number 20.
It's now 15-6, and at this point we'll remind you again, if it's a 10-goal lead, it's a running clock. So at 29 minutes to go in the half, if the Cardinals can get the next one, it will not stop on the account of goals or, I believe, even whistles for penalties. Cardinals are 13-1 this year. And those 13 wins currently have the special place in history being tied for the most in a single season in program history. In what is the 10th year of North Central Women's Lacrosse. Richardson Clerk picks it up and hands off to Addie Records, who very well might set a freshman record at some point this year. She is torching the opposition, leads the team in goals, and shows no signs of slowing up either.
No, and with 2 very important games left after this game here, you'd expect her to still be in the midst of a lot of the offense that this Cardinal team is going to try and throw out there against 2 of the top conference teams.
Steiner picks it up, throws it across. Cardinals on the prowl for goal and lead number 10. Dietjen patiently waits, tries to enter in, and gets fouled on the way. And she'll have a free shot coming on the 10-meter line. Could we see goal number 16? Compliments of Jess Dietjen. The answer is yes. The clock will stop until the stick has been verified by the official. Here that comes. And we're good to go. 28-13. And now the Cardinals with a 10-goal lead.
Number 20, Jessica Dietjen.
Dietjen having a tremendous sophomore season, with that being her 5th goal of the afternoon on 10 shots. Good crowd on hand, and I will say there's been a lot of support for the Dubuque Spartans. A nice traveling fan base, apparently.
Yeah, for a team who is based out of Iowa, traveled pretty well all the way here to Naperville, Illinois.
That's about a 3-hour drive. .27:20 to go as Maddie McHugh finds a dashing member of the Cardinal team. I didn't catch the number on that. Is that Dietjen again? Holy smokes. Goal number 6 for Jess
That's a Cardinal
Deachin.
goal by number 20, Jessica Deachin. Assisted by number 17, Madeline McHugh.
Well then.
And well, I've said earlier, they've found their stride again on offense, and this is the kind of stuff we've seen from the Cardinals the last couple of times out, and this is what makes them so dangerous on offense. They do well on the draw controls, getting almost all of them most of the time we're watching, and it just really leads into their offense, and just with how quickly they score and run their offense, that's how you see them put up 18 plus goals almost every time out.
Back of the end zone is Records. Throws it out in front. Richardson Clerk could not catch it. Picks it back up off the turf. Out in front, and Steiner decked. And she'll get a free shot. Suddenly it's back to being overcast. Surprisingly rained earlier today. That ball's still loose just outside the crease, and it's picked up by Berger. And now it's still loose, and a whistle blows, and it's awarded to Weir. It just started raining earlier today. It wasn't forecasted to. And North Central men's tennis was hosting a game, I should say a match, against Carroll. And they're like, wait, what? They had to suspend the match for the moment and actually ended up having to go indoors because it rained so much that it put a coat of water on the tennis surface.
And you're not trying to throw your athletes out there and get them hurt on a wet surface.
No. Records dashing in and collecting the score. 18-6. Clock continues to run. Under 25 minutes we go.
And I believe at this point it may be safe to say that the Cardinals have regained complete control of this game. Whatever adjustments they made at halftime or just before the end of the first half have really confused and befuddled the Dubuque Spartans.
I like that word, befuddled. It's an appropriate term for this instance. Other contests going around the athletic campus today. Baseball hosting Carthage this afternoon. Softball had a game as well. Right now, North Central, the baseball team, losing to Carthage 4-2. Carthage is ranked 19th in the country. The Cardinals were highly ranked to begin the year, but suffered some early setbacks. It'll be interesting to see if the Cardinals can get back and match that long run to the College World Series they made last year. Softball also, I thought, was in action, although no live stats are ever available out at Schanauer Field. Got to get them the old-fashioned way, by telegram.
Or by word of mouth.
I prefer the telegram.
Much quicker.
It's a real pain to carry, but that's something they haven't quite put in phones yet. Just kidding, it's called a text message. 22:50 to go here in the second half. If you want live stats and results and schedules, rosters, news, and more, you can go to northcentralcardinals.com, the home site of North Central Athletics. It is so frequently visited on all of the laptops I use that all I have to hit is the letter N, and it populates in the URL bar.
It's almost as if you work for them.
You don't say. Here comes Dubuque. Carlson with it. She surveys and slows it down and gives off to Berger. Out in front, and Jarda able to get the goal. And Dubuque finally stops the bleeding momentarily. It's an 18-7 score. Hat trick? I believe that's a hat trick.
Apparently.
Goal by number 7,
Maybe he's not keeping up to date with Jessica Deachin. She has 2 of them.
Cassandra Berger.
Got enough hats for her and a friend.
How thoughtful of her.
Clock continues to roll, 21-10 here in the second half. I feel like the temperature might be dropping, which makes sense. It is 5:20 in the evening, but been a beautiful day on campus here at North Central. Oof, big whack put on by Deachin. And she gets called for the infraction. Speaking of Cardinal baseball, we'll be out and covering the game tomorrow. You can go online, I'm guessing sometime Monday, and look at the highlights of that game. The Cardinals are one of the better teams in the country and certainly have the firepower offensively to stick with just about any team out there. And a whistle finally blows in favor of Dubuque. There's a lot of contact there.
Yeah, and that's something that the Cardinal defense is not afraid to do, is get aggressive on the defensive end and throw some bodies at you to try and throw you off your groove offensively.
Brienne Jarda from Wabanzi Valley races in, and Zagacio erases the shot. And nice snag there from Richardson Clerk as she tries to get it past midfield, and she does. Richardson Clerk changes gears off the padding of Weir, and that is a goal. Hey now. I think that might have just snuck over the line.
Yeah, that's my guess as well. Off the padding, and just unfortunately for Weir, got over that white line there.
With the goal by number 14, Nate Richardson Clerk.
Under 19 to go now. So the Cardinals, I think it's safe to assume at this point, will move to 14-1. You think that's a safe call, Zach?
I would say so.
And if that's the case, they've set a new program record for wins in a season. And now they head out onto the road following the next 18:30, and they will play 2 of the top teams in conference right along with them. And teams, quite frankly, that they'll most likely see in the conference tournament. Carroll and Illinois Wesleyan. Cardinals not satisfied with that 12-goal lead. Now Eddie Records goes to work. A couple to Deeks and goes out to Richardson Clerk. He throws it up top, and the Cardinals will reset. Really looking forward to seeing what the results are in Waukesha and in Bloomington, because it's really hard to gauge just how good this Cardinal team is, because we've seen in the past some teams will come to town and the Cardinals will blow them out 20-1, and then they would face a team like, well, in the past, Augustana, and they would be on the receiving end of a beatdown like that. But not this year. It just doesn't feel that way this year. And this Dubuque team is pretty good. I would say this is probably the best team we've seen the Cardinals face in 2018.
So far, I would agree with although Augustana had the unfortunate situation of facing what are now the top 3 teams in the conference all in a row. So there's that that they have against them, being one of the top teams from years past. But as you said, these next 2 games could very well be a good gauge for just how good this team can be or is. You have to be pretty excited going into those games, though, having seen what they are capable of against these lesser teams. You know, you always see in sports where teams may play down to their competition. Not the case for this Cardinal team. They do a great job of getting out ahead and keeping their foot on the throttle and just burying teams before they could get any sort of hope.
It's also intriguing to me whether or not this offense will continue to be able to put the ball in the back of the net in the same manner, because sometimes an offensive system doesn't work against a really good team. You can put up 20 goals a game against lesser competition, but if it has some sort of vulnerability, the best teams are going to find that.
Absolutely, and for that 10 to 15 minute stretch of time in the first half, we saw just that, where this Cardinal offense, for the first time that we've seen, became stagnant because Weir in goal for Dubuque was doing a great job of stopping easy looks that the Cardinals normally capitalize on. And so that was the key to the comeback that the Spartans had for that stretch of time. But as good teams do, Cardinals adjusted, and here we are now with them up 19-7.
Yeah, those 2 timeouts in the first half by Danielle Fialda, I think, really proved to be a wise decision. Another goal put in by NCC. It's now a 20-7 score. Christina Truver finds the nylon for yet another time here this afternoon. And that's something that, as a head coach, you make that transition from a player to a coach, and you could have the leadership style. You could be respected by the team, but knowing strategy and knowing the pulse of a team and being able to call timeouts at strategic times, that comes with experience. You don't just walk into a job knowing those types of things.
Absolutely, and knowing when to call those timeouts and knowing your players and knowing the right things to say to your players is also extremely important as a coach. You can't just call a timeout because you know your team is struggling and say, look, we're okay, this is what's happening or whatever, and they figure it out on their own. No, you need to be able to inspire these athletes and get them back into it mentally.
Nearly a turnover, and instead a whistle will give the ball to North Central. 13:30 to go. And the ball thrown over to Segasio. If you want to hear reactions to the Cardinals' win from a few days ago, when they were able to successfully take down Elmhurst 23-4, we talked to Jessica Deachin and Camille Segasio following that game. You can watch the highlights and watch the reactions on nctv17.com, or you can go to the college's athletic YouTube page and look it up there as well. Interesting stuff. It's just from talking with them, you get the sense that they knew they could be good. They didn't, I don't think, really truly believe that they would be this good this quickly as such a young team.
Right, and you never expect something like that. You never anticipate a young team with only 2 juniors as your veteran presence on this team to come out here, be 13-1, on your way to program record 14-1, and tops amongst the conference leaders. it's impressive to see how well they've responded and how well they've played so far this season.
And consider they graduated what I believe, if memory serves me correctly, 7 seniors last year. We're able to save that. Does she know where it is? No, it's out in front. She looks shaken up again in net. It's been a rough day for her. She's been fired at it point blank a couple of times, and I don't think she's taken them where the padding is. That's the old catcher's adage. Always seems to hit you where the padding ain't.
And it seems like it's such a small fraction of possibility of that happening, but it always seems to happen at the most inopportune times.
I said it's 5:30.
Sometimes off the inner shin, sometimes you get it off the elbow or something, your arm goes numb. I remember once, now let me preface this by saying I was certainly no athlete. I was not a high caliber athlete by any means, as the Cardinals get a turnover and goal number 21. That was Addie Records. No, that was Manny McHugh putting that one in. I was behind the plate once catching, and a bat came around on a swing. It was a big full swing and a miss, and just grazed my elbow.
That's a Cardinal goal.
And it was
Number
enough to
17,
make it
Madeline
go
McHugh,
completely numb
assisted by
and
number 20, Jessica
immobile.
Deacon.
I couldn't move it. It just got me in the wrong place. And I think about these players as there's a timeout taken by Dubuque. These goalkeepers are standing in there. They've got very little padding. It's usually just chest protectors and maybe some shin guards. Other than that, you're subjected to the elements. So kudos to them for sticking in between the pipes. We're going to take a break, a minute timeout, as the teams have taken a timeout. 10-13 remaining, 21-7 your score. North Central with the lead. We'll be right back on NCTV 17. Cardinals right back at it on the offensive end and threatening for goal number 22. 10:20 to go as the Cardinals are running away with this one. We're back on NCTV 17 and NCTV17.com. Kevin Jackman, Zach Bucher, thanks so much for joining us this, what is now evening, on the campus of North Central College. It's been a beautiful day. Had the opportunity to go out and cover tennis earlier, and except for the rain, it was a pleasant afternoon. With the rain, it was not a pleasant afternoon. But it's nice that spring has finally decided to show its head. Hopefully summer's right around the corner. McHugh waits. Behind the net it goes with Records. Under 10 to play in this one. And the shot errant by Deachin. Out in front, and McHugh nabs number 22. I believe she has scored 2 straight for NCC.
That's a Cardinal goal by number 17, Madeline McHugh.
Let's run down the point scorers for the Cardinals this afternoon. Deachin with 7, Records with 6, Truver 5, Richardson, Clerk, and McHugh each with 4, Steiner with 3, and a single tally belongs to Nellie Scranton. I can't say Nellie Scranton without thinking of The Office. Just can't be done. Scranton, Pennsylvania. Home of Dunder Mifflin. How often do you think she gets that? Probably more times than she cares to have actually happened.
Yeah, I would assume with how large the fan base is for that particular show.
Out in front, Sagacio collects her 2nd consecutive save. Well done. Nice job in net for Sagacio, who's up to 5 saves. Yeah, I'm a part of that fan base, and on top of that, I just rewatched the entire series from start to finish. I have 1 episode left, and that's the finale. And that will be watched at some point this weekend.
And there will probably be tears.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Believe me, I've been there with shows you get attached to. Scrubs, probably one of my favorite shows of all time. That, even though it went on to have a 9th season, that 8th season finale was probably one of the best season finales I've seen of any show.
Is that when most of the main characters departed?
It was.
Like Zach Braff, and I'm forgetting
Donald
other.
Faison.
Thank you. I watched that show for a long time as well.
Yes, they appeared in a few of the beginning episodes of season 9, but
that was that.
That was about it.
You know, just for the record, I will never say that I've cried for a TV show. I will just politely say that I got misty-eyed. Long pass, and it is out of bounds and belongs to North Central with 6:10 to go here in the second half. As we talk about TV shows, I almost wonder what the finale of Game of Thrones, which has been a huge hit, what that's going to be like.
Well, we'll find out sometime.
Never.
Actually, we will find out sometime around this time next year.
I think that's when season 8 kicks off.
Season 8 is supposed to kick off in April of next year. And according to what I have read on the internet, there is a battle in that particular season that they took 23 days to film.
I believe it's the most expensive show on a per-show basis in the history of television.
And it does not disappoint.
Richardson Clerk cuts towards the middle and has to back out, and she got whacked in the face. Yikes. 5:03, and a player sent off, yellow carded.
Probably not intentional in any way, shape, or form, but just an unfortunate poke of the stick, and that's what happens.
Inadvertent. We've seen some former Cardinals in attendance today. There's a huge crowd for this game this afternoon, and they've gotten their money's worth because this team very well could be hosting the conference tournament in a few weeks. If they take care of business, if they can go 2-0 on the road coming up, they will host at least one, if not two games, depending on whether they can win that first game. Be a lot of fun to host a conference tournament. Men's volleyball just did that. And, well, that didn't turn out as well as we would have liked. And I can't say we, because I had a friendly wager on this particular game. Naperville Sports Weekly host Allie Coletta is a Loris alum, and I am a North Central alum. And those two teams matched up in the semifinals of the conference tournament. And unfortunately, my end of the wager did not come to fruition, and instead, Miss Duhawk won, and me being a devout Cubs fan, and her being a devout White Sox fan, I had to dress up in all White Sox garb, to which you came in today and said you enjoyed it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't say as much for the player that she particularly picked.
Gordon Beckham.
Not really who you think of when you think White Sox.
But I was wearing white socks that said White Sox on them.
You were.
Much to my dismay. Whoa. Big penalty there on Deachin. Easy call right in front of the official. 3:12 to go. So, yeah, that made the rounds on social media. If you know me, you know I'm a Cubs fan, too.
You looked good in White Sox.
I did not. I don't think I did.
Did.
It's not often that I say I don't. I'll admit that I don't look good, but I will admit there. My saving grace was that it was a retro throwback jersey, so it was red, white, and blue.
Southside blue.
Southside blue, not Cubby blue. Caught a lot of flack from my friends for that, too. So thank you very much. And, of course, you're a White Sox fan, so,
yes.
Of course, you're loving this. King absorbs a lot of contact and throws it out. Game all but over with just about 2:15 remaining in it. Cardinals up by 15. 22-7. Segasio's gotten better as this game has gone along. Right on cue.
2 minutes remaining. 2 minutes remaining.
Ring around the Rosie. And then throws it over to the sideline and out of play. Dubuque ball. And a whistle blows, and Dubuque will have it. And the shot gone and out of play, and it belongs to, I thought that would have gone to the Cardinals, but I guess not. That one might be floating in the Fox River in just a second. King makes a move to the net and is wide. And that one, again, is going to work off the sideline and out of play, and the Cardinals get it.
Great hustle there by
Richardson Clark.
Yeah, Richardson Clark. She did a great job. Seemed as though the Spartan player, Brienne Jarda, thought that she was going to have that one easy. Richardson Clark came out of nowhere and took possession.
Yeah, that was not the case. 35 seconds left as this telecast comes to a close. Doesn't mean the Cardinals are going to stop anytime soon. Look at this. McHugh picks it up as the Cardinals threaten again. But we have two final telecasts of regular season lacrosse coming up, but they will be on the men's side of things. This coming Wednesday, the men's team hosts the University of Dubuque. 4 seconds left, and that one bounced up and out of play, and that'll do it. Cardinals beat the Spartans 22-7 after, well, some interesting play in the first half. Cardinals then pulled away and they never looked back. It's a pretty complete win for North Central.
I would say so. They kind of went through the ringer in the first half, struggled a little bit for their stretch of time on offense. It seemed like Dubuque may make a comeback and make this a game, but these good teams always find a way on offense to put their foot on the gas and not let up. And that's what happened here today once the Cardinals got going on offense.
Looking forward to seeing what they can do on the road. They go to Carroll, they go to Illinois Wesleyan to wrap up the year, and maybe, just maybe, we'll see them back here at Benedetti Worley Stadium as the conference tournament hosts. We can only hope so. But we can only look so far as the next game, and our next game is Wednesday when the men's team hosts Dubuque. We hope you join us for that. That'll be a 7 o'clock start here on the campus of North Central College. For everybody involved in our telecast this evening, our on-site producer and cameraman, Sean Laban, alongside Zach Bucher, I'm Kevin Jackman saying so long. We'll see you next time on NCTV 17 and on NCTV17.com.